Hi, my name is Riley Moorfield. Apart from being enthusiastic about creating videos, I'm also autistic. Like many autistic people, I've been obsessed about a certain subject for most of my life. I have a keen interest in home media formats. As a result of this, I introduce you to my short documentary film, The Format Wars. Hi there. Most people will already be familiar with this service. Netflix is now the king of online streaming services, with over $16 billion being spent on content in 2020. Streaming services like Netflix have given consumers the ability to view huge libraries of home media at the click of a button. But things weren't always like this. So let's have a look at the history of home media, looking at the various formats, and the battles that they went through to dominate the market. Without further ado, let's go! During the second half of the 1970s, with improvements in technology and televisions becoming more widely available, two companies developed home video formats that would compete against each other for over a decade, with Sony developing Betamax and JVC developing VHS. Although the VHS format was seen as inferior in picture and sound quality to Sony's Betamax, VHS essentially was cheaper to manufacture. VHS also had the advantage of a 2-hour recording time, whilst Betamax only had an hour's worth of recording time. Whilst advances were made to both formats over the years, by 1988, Sony succumbed to market demand and started to produce VHS in addition to Betamax. With this change, this would see the eventual demise of Betamax and the dominance of VHS. The advent of video changed the entertainment market forever. Now film companies could package and sell their product directly into homes. The video rental market was born. Reading from a book called VHS Collecting: The Modern Relevance of Home Video by Corey J. Gorski, the video store wasn't a chore, nor a hassle. It was a community, a hub, a meeting point around which to gather and celebrate film. It was an experience and discovery of new entertainment. Friends and family would congregate for an excursion into the fantastic world of cinema. CRT television sets are playing trailers of upcoming movies. Dozens of racks line the walls, filled with hundreds of movies in cardboard slipcases. Film posters peppered throughout the room. The video rental market between the mid to late 80s into the early 90s was massive, with video rental revenues in the UK exceeding nearly £250 million alone. Whilst Netflix is now a household name for streaming, back then, every high street had the familiar blue and yellow sign of Blockbuster Video. Excluding stores in the US, Blockbuster had over 25,000 stores across the world. The VHS medium thrived and advances were made to improve the quality of sound and picture. But technology companies still looked at alternatives to enhance the film experience at home. During the late 70s, Pioneer developed the Laserdisc. Although this never saw the success of VHS, it did shape the successor to VHS. Laserdisc was one of the first formats to use digital technology, although it wasn't fully digital and still used some analog video signals. Throughout the 1990s, VHS rentals continued to be a profitable business, but things were changing. In 1995, Sony, Toshiba, Panasonic, and other companies started to manufacture a new disc format, DVD. By the end of the 1990s, the DVD format was being distributed worldwide. In addition to DVD players, many new consoles like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox were compatible to play DVD media. This was the dawn of the digital media age and the slow demise of VHS. By 2003, DVD rentals had outstripped VHS rentals in the UK. Although something else was changing, the rental market was declining. By 2002, the revenue of the rental market had nearly halved. With the rise of DVD, consumers were moving towards purchasing their media rather than renting it. By the mid-2000s, the retail sales for DVD were over £250 million. Let's just pause here a moment. In 2006, most of the major studios stopped producing VHS tapes, with some of the last few releases in the UK being Pride and Prejudice, Nanny McPhee, and Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. As a result, the VHS era was no more. With the costs of purchasing media decreasing, and also being readily available, not only in specialist stores, DVDs were also available in places such as supermarkets, where they were sold at further reduced prices. The blockbuster video business was starting to decline due to new players in the market. These included services such as LoveFilm and Netflix, who provided rental service by post and incurred no late charges. To give context to the profits that Blockbuster made from late fees, at their peak, Blockbuster made $800 million worldwide from late fees in just 1 year. During the late 90s and early 2000s, Netflix and LoveFilm continued to grow their business at the deficit of Blockbuster. But wait a minute. This is a story about the history of home media itself, not the rise and fall of Blockbuster. Although these names, Netflix and Amazon LoveFilm, possibly hold the cards for the future of home media. So to recap, during the last 30 years of home media, we have seen and said goodbye to the following formats: Betamax, Laserdisc, VHS. As the digital age started to progress, technological improvements moved at pace. Devices were getting smaller and more mobile, with home media and gaming crossing over with the introduction of DVD drives in PlayStation and Xbox consoles. The next step saw Sony again develop a new format, UMD, for their new handheld console, the PlayStation Portable, or PSP for short. Introduced in 2005, it was initially seen as a medium that could produce high-quality picture, but was also portable. Unlike DVD, whilst around 650 film titles were released on the UMD format, it never saw the same success that DVD had achieved. The PSP and its UMD format soon showed signs of reliability issues. At this point, much of the industry was starting to invest in digital distribution. In 2009, Sony released the PSP Go, a more compact version of the PlayStation Portable. More notably, the UMD drive was removed, essentially closing the book on the UMD story. In 2006, Toshiba introduced the new HD DVD format. This was seen as the new standard for the high-definition media format, but only a few months later, Sony introduced its rival format, Blu-ray. Other technology manufacturers had already teamed up with Sony to manufacture the Blu-ray format, in addition to key film distributors like Walt Disney Studios, 20th Century Fox, MGM, Lionsgate, and Sony Pictures. Gaming also played a large role in the success of Blu-ray, as the PlayStation 3 console was already installed with a Blu-ray drive. The Xbox 360 offered the HD DVD drive, but at extra cost and as a separate unit. Unlike the battle between Betamax and VHS, HD DVD's war between Blu-ray didn't last long, and by 2008, HD DVD joined the archive of discontinued home media formats. With Blu-ray becoming the new high-definition standard for home video, it would have been expected, similarly to DVD surpassing VHS sales, that Blu-ray would soon outsell DVD. Whilst DVD sales did decline, that demand did not shift to Blu-ray. Technology had moved forward very quickly, and consumers wanted things at their fingertips across multiple devices. Televisions were no longer the only screen to view things on. The rise of the smartphone and tablet had arrived. In 2005, DVD sales in the US amounted to over $15 billion. By 2015, this was down to less than $5 billion. In comparison, streaming service subscriptions had risen dramatically. During the same period between 2005 and 2015, in 2005, Netflix had only 4.02 million subscribers. By 2015, it had increased to 70.83 million. As of 2020, that amount had nearly tripled to 203.66 million subscribers. With more and more people moving to video on demand and streaming services, you may have thought that physical media would eventually cease to exist, although in 2015, 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays were announced, with the first few titles being released in 2016. This format supplemented the further technology improvements to televisions that already provided 4K resolution. Again, gaming consoles such as the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 used 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray technology. This brings us to where we are today. The physical formats we have are DVD, Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Sales are still relatively stagnant, and more studios are creating online streaming services or releasing films on video on demand within weeks of being released theatrically. So what do I think? Is it only a matter of time before physical media formats cease to exist? For me, there is nothing better than either going out to purchase the newest physical releases or having an Amazon parcel dropped through the letterbox so that I can drool over the glossy artwork of a slipcover or the glimmer of a steelbook case. There is something about holding a piece of media. Only time will tell what will happen to physical media in the years to come, but I wear my thoughts on my chest.